So, the good news have been confirmed, and I gotta say, I am excited like I haven't been for a modern Warhammer entry in years. And Cavill has already made a post promising to stay true to the universe and try his damnedest to give us all the 40k show we deserve, rather than the Warhammer Plus we currently get. But as always, there is a fly in the ointment, and on this particular occasion, the pest carries an Amazon logo branded onto its little fly buttocks. On the one hand, this guarantees any TV show will have the budget of a small third world country. But on the other hand, a $1 billion wad of cash did absolutely nothing to save the legacy-annihilating Rings of Power. A show so ungodly awful, Amazon had to block all reviews of it for 72 hours whilst desperately engaging in damage control. So, let us take a step back here, shall we? Allow me to fight down the rabid Henry Cavill fangirl in me, and take stock of the situation to temper our expectations with a sour dose of reality. Though, even so, I cannot help but start out on a positive note. Cavill seems like a genuinely great dude. He's been a fan of Warhammer since childhood, and still collects and paints Warhammer to this day. Custodes, granted, but still, it's not Tau at least. And he has a proven track record of going above and beyond in the name of the setting he loves. Even potentially to the point of quitting his job on The Witcher because the writers talked loudly about how shit the books were and how they didn't like them. He has given me zero reason to doubt his geek street cred, so if anyone can be trusted to try their best to do 40k justice, it is going to be this dude. I truly believe Henry Cavill will do his best, but I also believe Amazon will do their worst, and that means politics. Amazon Studios has an obvious and flat-out stated in black and white progressive agenda in their inclusion policy playbook, where they state that out of those employed in creative roles, 30% of them should be women, and 30% should be from racial and ethnic groups, and that this number should increase to 50% by 2024, and lucky Amazon, as it seems they will reach and surpass this goal already next year, as the Rings of Power Season 2 has a 100% female directors. Wow, much diversity, much inclusion. Now in my savage backwater nation, hiring people based on their gender on skin color is called racial and gender discrimination, and is illegal, but oh well. And it's not like it stops there, of course. You've also got the casting actors whose identity, gender identity, national, racial, ethnicity, sexual orientation, blah 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 blah, aligns with the characters they will be playing. And hey, at first flush, that almost sounds like a positive thing. Obviously, if a character is black in the source material, he should be black in the TV show. If they are disabled or female, etc., they should also be so. But this rule never applies to white characters, which are race swapped left, right, and centre. The Wheel of Time has, 3-4 race swaps, I seem to remember? All from white to something else, of course. And in the recent disaster piece, The Rings of Power, we don't so much get race swaps as entire ethnic group swaps. As suddenly, and completely in violation of Tolkien's established lore and work, we now have black Numenorians, black elves, and black hobbits, or more correctly, we do not have any Numenorians or elves or hobbits. What we have is a bunch of 2022 Californians in Lord of the Rings LARP cosplay. And of course, you've also got the quota requirements for LGBTQIAP+, etc. This woke garbage, for that is what it is poison to entertainment, because it takes the focus away from telling a great tale in an interesting world and places it on forcing as much current yearism as possible into it, and damned be the consequences. Of course, the most obvious and recent example is the oft and rightly so lambasted bastardization of Tolkien's great work, The Rings of Power. The show does everything it can to ruin Tolkien's legacy. Mount Doom, a volcano of pure evil created by Morgoth personally? No. It was a result of a goblin agricultural irrigation experiment gone wrong, you see. The very rings themselves, almost completely forgotten about, with the first 9 and 7 not even forged in the series, which gives directly to the much later 3 rings of the elves, rings forged and used whilst Galadriel is fully 100% aware that making them was a plot by Sauron, who literally told her this to her face 5 minutes previously, whilst gloating about it, will still go ahead. The authorities will not be informed, and Galadriel will use the rings happily. In fact, she suggests that another one be made for the sake of balance. And do not even get me started on Mithril, which in one single, almost elegant, decapitating move undermines both the elves and dwarves, making the dwarves callous and uncaring cunts that will happily watch the elves go extinct rather than help them out, and the elves into nothing more than greedy magical coke fiends. I could go on, and you know what? I think I will. The fact is that there isn't a single believable elf or Númenorian or hobbit in the show, which robs it of all magic. The entire series seems tailor-made to strip every single bit of wonder from the world and replace it with bland, boring 2022 trademark sludge. Now, to be fair, to compose myself for a second, Amazon has also made some decent stuff. The Expanse is quite tolerable television and damn near good at occasions. Invincible, as well, is a relatively faithful adaptation of the comic, but with quota-demanded race swaps, of course. And The Man in the High Castle was also okay, despite the painfully rushed and random-ass ending. The Boys, too, is a semi-honourable mention of quality, despite the showrunners' continuing efforts to reduce their best villain, Homelander, to a joke character. But even these are rare and only semi-glittering gems in a sea of pure industrial sewage. And then there's Games Workshop. Once upon a time, a happy time. All GW cared about was being left alone to make their minis and the occasional fluff book. Oh, sure, they were uncommunicative to the extreme, often litigious, and frequently enormous douchebags. But at least they cared about their game, whilst now they are still litigious, they are still douchebags, and they don't care about their setting. Hell, to an even greater degree than before. The only thing that seems to have improved is the communication aspect, which, well, they used to threaten to sue me, for example, and everyone on YouTube using the word Warhammer in a bullshit trademark dispute. And this, too, at the behest of a self-described Marxist, Maoist, syndicalist Reddit that's engaged in straight-up incitement of violence on multiple occasions. And it's hardly even the tip of the iceberg. Games Workshop never excluded anyone, regardless of sexuality, gender, race, or ability. There was never a sign in a Games Workshop window saying no blacks or queers allowed. As long as you were willing to buy their ridiculously overpriced plastic and sell a kidney to pay for it, then you were welcome. Until the progs got in and suddenly it was Warhammer is for everyone, but only if you agree with us. And along with this came the inevitable decline in quality as well. Liber Chaotica can no longer be printed because it's too good, presumably, and therefore doesn't align with the company's current values, of course. As GW's current set of values is as little care and zero quality control. You've got 8th Legion Ultramarines. You've got Primaris helmets on a first founding sourcebook. You've got Corvus armor at Calth. You've got Ultramarines painted like Alpha Legionnaires. You've got Thiel, an Ultramarine sergeant, painted as an Imperial fist. I don't even understand why the Ultramarines are always on the receiving end of this, but they are. Not to mention the balancing and design disaster that is the League of Votan. Not only are they criminally uninspired, but the book was so poorly balanced, people gave it one glance and then banned it in tournaments. And on and on and on, and it is all so very, very tiresome. Especially from the perspective of someone who's created God Emperor alone knows how many hundreds of hours of lore videos devoted to this very setting. To see it all dragged through the mud and degraded like this is not very fun. At the end of the day, basically, what it comes down to is who's holding the ropes here. Because Cavill, I have no reason to distrust. I really have none. I genuinely do believe, once again, that he is going to do his absolute best to make a good 40k show. And I think he might just have the knowledge to do it as well. But I also think that he's going to be swimming upstream against a river of refuse every single solitary step of the way. And we will have to see how much power his position as an executive producer will grant him over keeping the focus on making a 40k story, rather than what Amazon wants to make, a checklist of current year talking points. So all I can really say at the end then is, Godspeed, Mr. Cavill. I wish you all the luck in the world, because you are going to need it, and boy do I hope you succeed. Until next time, I've been Arch, thank you all very much for watching, and hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.